Hi you all, welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to share with you something that is more vulnerable, that is more personal. Why this video can support you is that if you are someone that has some wounds with your parents, which is most of us as humans, right? This video is going to really help you with that, because I'm going to give you a little bit of background in case it's your first time you're landing here, or if you haven't had a chance to watch my videos where I'm sharing a little bit about my background. By the way, if it's your first time, or if you've been here before, welcome back, or welcome back. It's so good to have you. My name is Hanna. I'm an intuitive chakra healer, energy weaver, and somatic guide. And today I want to talk to you about my mother wound specifically. And today has been a huge day for me. Okay, I'm 31 years old, and today was the first day in my freaking entire lifetime that I had a conversation with my mom that I actually enjoyed, that felt like we're actually connecting. So let me rewind a little bit, and I'll share with you how I got to this place. And also I want to give you a little bit of background so you understand the severe issues that I've had with my mom my entire life. So I grew up in a very extreme Orthodox religion in Israel. And I came from a family of 10 siblings. So it's five older than me, 5 younger than me. I'm exactly in the middle. So I was also my mom's black sheep. Or at least that's the story I had my entire life growing up. And to say the least, me and my mom did not get along at all growing up. It was just always like butting heads. My entire childhood, I feel like bad to say it, but I hated my mom. Like, I remember as a kid literally praying that she'll die because how much I hated her. Now, of course, a lot of things happened since then. And, you know, I had to go through an entire journey of like working through my mother wound. And I'm not saying like I'm over it and it's perfect, but I'm saying I definitely got into this place today that feels very new, that feels very exciting. It's really interesting because I'm going to share this with you, because I feel like when we do have like some issue with our parents, either our father or our mother, yes, a lot of times like we obviously like went through like some severe trauma. Some of us, not all of us. Some of us had a pretty good household, but those of us who went through like severe trauma, or, you know, I know some people are going through more trauma than others, but I'll speak from my point of view. And you kind of take it to where you want to take it and where you want to go with this. But I'm sharing from my own experience, from my own story. So when I first started getting into my healing journey, I remember like the first thing that I kept having to like process was my mother. Like my mother wound. Rarely ever touched my father wound. There's some stuff there too, but like mainly my mother wound was like the big fatty wound for me. And when I first touched my mother wound in a deeper way, I started having like this huge emotional release. And that huge emotional release was like it was actually my first big emotional release, and it was a lot of grief and a lot of rage and a lot of like confusion, like how the heck is she my mom? Like why it doesn't make any sense to me. And I was able to really be in a healing space with like facilitation, and like I was really held through this process where I was just releasing all of these feelings and emotions that I had within me. And the reason why I'm sharing this, the reason why it's so important, because that was not the first time that I released like big emotions toward my mom. But the reason why I'm sharing it is because when we are experiencing some kind of feeling, some kind of things that we're going through with our parents, there is like deep emotions that are held within our bodies that they have to be processed in order for us to make room for a different story. Does that make sense? So you know, a lot of the times I'll hear people that say like, but it's my mom or it's my dad, I can't, it's not their fault, and you know, like they did the best they could. And let me tell you, I know that my mom did the best, but the best she could. I know that my father did the best he could. I know it, okay? I know that they, whatever tools they had from their parents and their parents and their parents, it's what they had. However, it doesn't cancel the fact that I went through these experiences as a child and I collected these feelings inside of my body. And it doesn't cancel the fact that these feelings are being held inside of my body. And let me tell you, when those feelings are being held inside of your body, it's like energy that is like stuck inside of your body. And whenever we have stuck energy within our bodies, it means it doesn't flow properly. And when it doesn't flow properly and it's stuck, a lot of the times it can manifest in emotional issues, mental issues, and it can also manifest in physical illness and disease, right? I mean, like a lot of people that have like big disease, it's a lot of an unprocessed emotions that were being held in the body for generations and generations and lifetimes and lifetimes. And we really have to find this place where we can consciously process these emotions. So I'm not telling you go to your mom and go rage at her, and you know, this is not what I'm saying, because this is not going to be helpful for this process. Because when I'm talking about being able to process your emotions, it's like about like really give yourself the space to process them, to allow them to move through your body in a safe space. So the way I did it for the first time, I had two facilitators, a woman and a man, and they almost like played as my parents, and they were holding me and they were hugging me as I was basically having a temper tantrum, this younger part of me. So when we are experiencing those feelings that are, you know, and sometimes we're not even aware of them, right? Sometimes we have to go through a lot of layers to find our rage, to find our anger. This is how it was for me. For the longest time, I told my husband now, he always told me, oh, wow, you have a lot of rage inside of you. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a lot of rage at all. And he's very sensitive. He could feel it, and before I could feel it. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any rage at all. And I clearly had a lot of rage. And there was a lot of times that this rage was coming out in a way that is like unhealthy, in a way that is towards someone else, and especially toward him, because he's my partner. And with him, I have this interesting, weird relationship with him that I tend to project my mom onto him a lot. So he gets it firsthand. All of the anger I have towards my mom always goes to him. And now we already know it, because now he's telling me like, Hannah, I'm not your mom. And then I'm like, okay, sorry. And I'm just able to just go to this part of me that feels the rage, and I'm able to sit with this part of me that feels the rage. His name is Hippo. And sometimes Hippo just wants to be seen. He needs to be seen by me. I need to be the one to give him what he wants or what he needs at this point in time. So when I'm sitting with Hippo, sometimes the last time I was sitting with him, he had like all this like steam coming out, like just like this steam, this rage coming out of him. And I was just witnessing him with a lot of compassion and a lot of empathy, and just holding him and just allowing him to go through what he's going through, so he can, you know, usually whenever we give space to a feeling, full space to a feeling and emotion, then there is a softening, and then there's more space for other things to come in. So this is why I'm saying this is so crucial, so key, to feel your emotions fully. So with the wound with my mom, I was going through the entire rainbow of emotions, from grief to rage to confusion to anger to just like disappointment. And then I started feeling like more empathy toward her and love toward her, and it was like ups and downs. It wasn't like a straight road. It was like there was always things that I was going through. And then at one point I realized like, oh, I feel love toward her. I really get her, like. And then from there was like another layer, a deeper layer of like realizing that my mom and I are so similar, like we're mirroring each other. So every time I would talk to her, I had an agenda to try to fix her, to try to change her, and she had that agenda toward me. I saw her as being in the dark, and she sees me as being in the dark. and we were kind of like mirroring each other from that place, like, and we've always been mirrors to each other. I think that's part of, this is my story, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I think part of why I was triggering so much for her, because I was mirroring all the parts of her that were maybe a little bit more repressed, maybe parts of her that were a little bit more in the shadows, because I was very like expressive kid. I was very like, when I'm mad, everybody knew that I was mad. I was very loud and very like, make sure you know that I'm here. And it drove her nuts, because she was not like that. She was a very good kid. She followed what her parents told her. She never dared to ask for what she needed. And I was very the opposite. So later on my journey, I realized that I started diving deeper and deeper and deeper into my own modality, into my own practices, and I realized how everything starts with energy. And I realized that also relationships starts with energy, like with an energy structure. What do I mean by that? So even though I felt a lot of compassion toward my mom, every time I would talk to her, we would still butting heads. We would still, it would still not work. I would still get triggered very easily. Every time she brings up her religion, I would get so triggered. And what I realized is that the energy structure of our relationship, meaning the energy between us in the energy field, had a huge knots, like energetic knots in it. So for me, it was so important for me to be aware of that, because then I was like, okay, we have a lot of energetic knots between us, and that's what creates this butting heads. That's what creates this place where we are like, like always like, you know, trying to fix each other and change each other and just like mirroring each other in this unhealthy way. And when I was able to be aware of it, I was able to consciously start working on the energetic knot. And that's something that I've been working on in the last few months. I've been working on this for quite some time. And every time, you know, there was like a deeper layer and a deeper layer. And about like 6 months ago, I had a conversation with her. It was actually a few months before I got married to Josh, my husband. And in this conversation, I got very, very triggered again. I got very triggered again because in the Jewish religion, they say that, you know, Jewish people are not allowed to marry non-Jewish people, and my partner is non-Jewish. And she, basically the way she was talking about him, like really, really, really triggered me, which obviously makes sense because he's my husband and he's my partner and he's such an amazing man. And it just like kind of really triggered me, like the way that the programmings of the religion made them just say all non-Jewish people are just like bad people, or like they're just like rotten in their like roots. And I was like, by the way, this is not all religious people. I'm just going to say this out here. This is specifically where I came from and my experience growing up. I know there's a lot of different levels to religion, but this is from my own experience. And I was so upset because I was like, you literally don't know him. Like, why would you say something like that? You literally don't know him. But then at the same time, I really understand because the programmings are so deep. And like the environment that they live in is like, it's all surrounded by that. So that when you're in this like bubble, like you can't kind of see beyond it. But throughout this process, I was really, really able to connect with my mom's like higher self, or with my mom's soul, with her true essence, beyond all of the programmings and beyond all of the stuff. And I was able to connect with her true essence and to really feel her true essence, and I don't know, like a very gentle, very like just like very gentle soul. And that was not my experience of her growing up, but I could just like really feel her, and I was really able to claim her in that version of her, in her true essence. And so that was really helpful for this process of like really healing my relationship with her. And this weekend, this past weekend, I had a whole process working with her energy. And like one thing that I've been doing for myself in my own journey is reconnecting with my origins, with like my soul's origins. And that has been something that's been so powerful for my own journey and for getting to know myself better. And I was like, I want to connect with her origins. And I was able to really connect with her origins, and just like very like watery, like gentle, like just like singing around the rivers, and also a lot of connection to indigenous cultures that she has. And I was able to connect with that like true essence of her, and I was able to imagine us sitting across each other, holding hands and just looking into each other's eyes and just connecting. I started having tears. I started feeling like a lot of sadness and like really feeling what, you know, her little girl feels, and like her inner parts of her that were maybe never seen or never met. And just like in this process of imagining that I'm like sitting with her, all of a sudden I felt like this desire to just like thank her. And I started saying like, I'm just so grateful for you. And I just like, I'm so thankful for this life that you that you gave me. Like, you brought me into this world, and my life is like so magical, so amazing. I mean, I sometimes like cannot believe the life that I'm living right now. I'm like, I just pinch me. Is this real? And I just felt like this overwhelmed sense of gratitude toward her. Like, thank you so much for carrying me in your womb for 9 months, and for bringing me into this world. And I'm like, I was just like thinking, thank you for birthing me, and thank you for becoming religious, because if you wouldn't become religious, you wouldn't have me, because in the religion they're supposed to have a lot of kids. That's why I have 10 siblings. And if they would, because my parents both became religious, and if they never become religious, I would never be here. So I just felt like this overwhelmed sense of gratitude. I literally started crying. It was like a very touching moment for me. So today I called my mom, I called my parents, and I specifically talked to my mom, and I shared with her this like gratitude, like this sense of gratitude, this sense of like how thankful I am for what she gave me, and this like gift of life that I get to live, and I get to experience. And it just so, it's like I took it as like, oh, this is part of what's happening, but I never was like, wait, no, like she actually brought me into this world. And you know, I felt a lot of gratitude to her, and I was able to express it for her today. And this, you know, one of the things that I've been wanting to do, and I've been kind of avoiding in the last few months, is like talk to my mom, because I knew when I talk to my mom and I don't get triggered, this is when I know I've done the work. And this is when I know that the work that I've done in the last few months has worked. And today was the day that I had the call with her, and I talked to her, and I was able to just have a conversation with her, and I did not get triggered at all. If anything, like I experienced her very different today. Like, she was more soft, she was more open, she was more like, we were able to actually connect as mother and daughter, not as like two people that's trying to change each other, and I try to make you like me and you're trying to make me like you. And what did I learn from it? If you take anything from this video, it's this: whenever you're doing your own work, your own internal work, and you're healing your own wounds with your parents, I'm not saying this is always the case, but a lot of the times the outside will match your internal, right? So whatever you're kind of shifting within you, your parents will match that. Your parents will start shift and change. And this is not to say it, oh, this is why you're going to be doing that. No, it's not what I'm saying. You're doing it for you. I'm fully forgiving my parents, and I fully allowed myself to feel all of the feelings toward them and not bypass any feelings, so I can be free, so I can feel like this clear energy with them. Because at the end of the day, she's my mom in this lifetime, and this soul contract that we have is sacred, is super, super sacred. And this is not to tell you to look at your relationship with your parents like that if this is not what's actually happening for you. If you still feel rage or confusion or grief or pain with one of your parents, I'm not telling you to look at this way. I'm telling you, in order to get to a place where you can feel them and you can have empathy and compassion toward them, you have to go through the rough emotions. You have to fully allow your inner child to express what she needs or what he needs to express. Fully allow all of your feelings, give them space to be here. Because this is the only way to get to a real integrated compassion and empathy from a place that is not bypassing, from a place where you're not gaslighting yourself. Because if you're telling, wait, but what did I learn from it? But what, like, this is a very important things where we can learn from, you know, these experiences. I mean, if my parents were not my parents, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Like, this is the best gift I could ask for myself. But this is not to say to bypass all of the rage and all of the feelings that I have toward them that I haven't processed. Because then my inner child doesn't trust me because I'm gaslighting my own parts, my own inner parts, my own inner child, and she doesn't trust me to have her back. So it's not about that. It's about fully go through all of the layers too. Because let me tell you, when I went through just the emotional layer and the mental layer, and the physical layer, it was all great. It was, and then I could feel her love and empathy, but every time I talked to her, there was still a knot. There was still something where I would get really triggered. And to me, that went back to the energetic structure of our relationship, which this is the root. We can't, I mean, we can, but it's not going to be fully integrated if we're not working on through all of the layers. And when I say through all of the layers, of course, there's way more layers than what I'm going to just share right now, but these are the main layers that we experience as humans. So the first layer, the roots of where everything starts, it's in the energy, okay, in our chakras. Okay, so in the energy field, this is where the roots of the physical manifestation is happening. And then it goes through all of the layers. The subtle body then, which the subtle body involves the emotional and mental bodies. And then slowest to manifest is the physical body. So by the time you have something physical, it actually started in the energetic. So what happened with my relationship with my mom is I was working on the physical level, I was working on the emotional level and the mental level, but I didn't work on the energetic level. So then when I started working on the energetic level and really worked through it, then of course there was even just in the energetic level, there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of levels within the just energetic, right? So for me to go through all of the layers and all of the levels, and it's like, it's not a linear process. So it was like going, you know, here and then back to here, and then it's not like, okay, this is the linear process. And it may look very, very, very different for every person, depending on who you are and where you're at. But going back to this conversation that we had today, I felt the most connected I've felt to my mom for the first time. Because I always said, like, how come we are not able to just speak to people that are just connecting? Like, how come, like, she's, like, I don't want any religion, any beliefs. I just want to connect with her as a person. I want her to connect with me as a person. But of course, that can never happen if there's an agenda for me that I'm trying to change her, and then that being mirrored back to me. And so instead, what I did, it's bringing more curiosity and more softening and more just, I mean, I didn't get triggered at all. Instead, I was just able to ask questions and be curious about her experience. And then all of a sudden, I realized, like, oh wow, she's actually able to, like, listen to me when I learned so much from this, like, because I've never tried that before, right? I've never tried it. It was always like this. And it's for the first time I tried to, wait, like, can you share more about this? That's really interesting. I genuinely felt curious. And it's like the feedback from her was so different. So for me, so what I'm learning from this is the more I am doing my own work, there's something in the external world that's like kind of matches my frequency, that matches what's happening for me internally. And it can happen with relationships, with people. It can happen with relationship with money. It can happen with everything that is happening, like when it's you with the external world. It can happen with politics, right? If you're someone that feels really triggered by politics and what's happening in the world, it's actually reflecting something back in your chakras that needs to be attuned, that needs to be aligned within you, and then when you kind of go back and aligned it for you, then all of a sudden you look around you and you're like, oh, this is great, magic. And then there's a problem that comes up with like another relation, let's say with a friend, it's coming up, you're getting triggered. I was like, wait. Back here, what's going on here? Let me align this, align. Oh, everything is great now. And of course, sometimes, yes, we have to actually practice with real world, with real people. Because if I have never practiced it with my mom or with your friend or with, whatever, you can't really know that this is what's going on. So of course you have to actually practice with people to see kind of where you're at. And the way that you are with people, it kind of tells you a lot about what's happening inside of you. Also the way you are with your partner. So so this is something that I do with my clients. This is the type of work I do with my clients. When we work on all of the levels and all of the layers, starting with the root, with the energy. So it's deep chakra work combined with energy weaving. The energy weaving is what facilitates the connection to different parts. So it's combined universal parts work and somatic guidance. The somatic guidance is the access point, is the gateway to whatever it is we're working on, because everything is in our energy body and in our physical body. So the energy weaving, what it does, it brings things forward, it brings things to the front row for us to actually have something tangible to work with. And with the weaving, I'm connecting my clients to different parts of themselves. So it can be the part of themselves that feel resistant, or the part of themselves that feel, whatever it is. It can be illness, it can be disease, it can be, every cell in the body and any psychological part, but it's universal parts work. So animals are a part of us too. The trees are a part of us. The elements are a part of us. Our ancestors are a part of us. Our extraterrestrial beings, our star families are a part of us. There's this ability to connect you to whatever part you're working with, that the access is through the chakras. Because the reason why I'm working with the 7 main chakras is because our entire human experience is in our 7 main chakras. So if you're someone that's feeling called to work with me and to try a session, you can find the links in the description below. There's a free discovery call where you can set up a free discovery call and see where you're at, what you want to work with, and see if we are a good energetic match. And if you're someone who are in this place where you're feeling called to step into service, or maybe you're feeling drawn to energy weaving and deep chakra work, I want to invite you to check the links also below. There's a link for a sacred interview. I would love to interview you for a sacred project I'm working on currently. I'm working on birthing my modality, which includes energy weaving, deep chakra work as a foundation, and then on top of that, the universal parts work and somatic guidance as an actual process of what's actually happening in the container. So whether if you're someone who's feeling drawn to energy weaving, whether if you want to work on yourself or with people or in groups or on the web of the planet or of the universe, the web of the universe, or if you're someone that wants to step into service, maybe you're someone that's done some inner work and you kind of feel the call to facilitate transformation, healing, and remembering to others. Maybe you're someone who's already a practitioner and you want to expand to energy weaving and deep chakra work and universal parts work. So wherever you're at, I want to invite you to book a sacred interview with me. I would love to interview you to learn more about you and your journey and where you're at, because what I'm doing currently is I'm working on birthing my modality. So my modality really wants to know who would it be for and how does it want to be birthed. And what I found in these interviews is that most women I interviewed, if not all, actually found a lot of clarity with this interview. So it's a win-win situation. So I please want to ask you if you could like this video, or if you could share this video with a friend that you think it would help them with whatever it is that they're going through in their lives, maybe something with their parents. And let me know in the comments your thoughts. Maybe let me know where you're at with your relationship with your parents, what's coming up for you, and yeah, if any of this resonate with you at all or not. Either way, that's totally fine. So let me know in the comments below. And I just want to thank you so much for watching all the way here, and I hope you have an amazing day.